Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It is Monday, Elite 8 game day. Have a show for you. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims is running the production. I tell you what, if you guys have internet out there and good internet, we'd love to know what you did to get it, because we ourselves, we don't have that. Not today.
To quote Gandalf the White, we are not late. We arrived precisely when we intended to, against the odds. We were worth the wait, though. I'll say that.
We wanted to keep you guys. We wanted to keep you guys wondering, waiting, just when are they going to go live? And here we are, Up Tempo live on your Monday. Baylor plays today against the University of Arkansas. We have a packed guest list for today's show as we help break things down across the game today. We're going to hear sound bites from Scott Drew, sound bites from Gino Auriemma, head coach Eric Musselman of the Arkansas Razorbacks. The Baylor Bears knocked off Villanova, trailing 30-23 at halftime on Saturday. Won that game by outscoring Nova 39-21 in the second half, dominating Jay Wright's team, and now they move on to play Arkansas today in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil Stadium. It's Baylor game day.
And they legitimately have an on switch. Like, I think that's been the most frustrating thing for all of Baylor Nation this entire season is Baylor will kind of play around with the team for a few minutes, maybe get out a little slow in the second half, and then when they realize it's time to win, they're like, oh, okay, we'll play for real now and just put your team away. And it's so maddening as a fan to watch, but golly, I love watching them.
There was a time in the second half against Villanova where one of my buddies looked at me and said, soak it in. This is the last 15 minutes of Baylor basketball this season. And that hurt. That hurt. Baylor comes back to win the game. Now they get an Arkansas team. I tell you what, Asmus for Oral Roberts is unflippin'
Yeah.
Unbelievable kid.
Iron Man.
Not only that, he wasn't very highly recruited. Ends up going to Oral Roberts. They had Arkansas on the ropes. Devo Davis hits a shot, sends the Hogs to the Elite Eight for the first time since 1995. Baylor to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2012. How about that? They're showing the graphic, the different teams that are making the Elite Eight, and Baylor is one of the most recent ones. They did it, not that long ago. Scott Drew and company are right back there this season, and I tell you what, not just the men. No. When I say Baylor's in the Sweet 16, Baylor's in the Elite Eight, you mean the men and the women now after a win against Michigan. I don't know if you saw that, but it was an unbelievable game.
It's a co-ed operation. It's a co-ed operation.
They're going
to have the work cut out for them here in the Elite Eight. It's going to be a deal now. It's going to be a deal now. Huh?
I'll tell you what.
Not tested yet.
Michigan had a player that shot a half-court shot, like a 75. It was like a 50-footer, right? Right at the end of regulation to tie the game, and she walked like 7. She didn't want to shoot it. She didn't have to shoot it. She had like 5 seconds left. She struggles to pick up the ball, walks, jacks it up, and then misses it, completely misses it. Dejanay Carrington lets the ball go out of bounds. Michigan gets 0.4 seconds on the clock. They get a good look for a three-pointer, and not so much. Not going to happen. Sorry, you guys. Not going to work out today.
It's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
That's when the tournament, way that the world goes around.
It should be 16 teams, man. It should be 16 teams. That's all
in the
I'm saying.
Sweet 16?
It should be 16 teams in the whole women's tournament.
Really?
That's all I'm saying.
I don't know, man. There were some really good upsets so far. A&M lost. You got that. Arkansas lost to Wright State. Speaking of Arkansas women's actions, head coach Mike Neighbors, what did he do this season?
He beat UConn and he beat Baylor.
And he coached a basketball team. And I bet he drove a car.
Guy does it all.
I bet he drank water.
I bet he probably drove a car without hitting anybody.
He had a baby.
He had a baby?
He had a baby.
He defied biology and had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I'm excited for this guy to come
So
on.
Mike Neighbors joins the show at 12:05. He's the only coach this season in the women's game to knock off both Baylor and Arkansas. Mike and company, his Razorbacks caught both those teams this season. He's going to join us at 12:05 and say, listen, he's got the secret. Mike Neighbors has the secret key to beating both Baylor and Arkansas, and I'm sure he's not going to tell us how to beat Baylor.
He's got the
nobody
sauce.
needs to know, right?
Yeah,
right.
no, I don't think there's. I think that.
Right.
I think his code has expired. Like, when you get like a login code for something, and it's like, hey, use it for the next 5 minutes, or you have to get a new one. I think he already used it, and it's now expired. It's not good anywhere else. That makes sense.
Okay.
You ever had that when you register a device, and it's like, hey, here's 5ZXWY. And then it's like, okay, use that perfect. But it's like, that.
I was thinking more like Mortal Kombat, like up arrow, left arrow, right arrow, and then just pew, pew, pew. So how about this? He's going to join us at 12:05 and break down all things women's basketball for the Baylor and UConn matchup today. On the men's side, I tell you what we only got about like 5 or 6 minutes, Joe, too. We got to do the Music Monday, and then we're doing some other stuff to try to get Coach Neighbors on with us. What are your keys tonight? What is it going to take for Baylor to win, and then vice versa on the other side of that? What does it take? What's it going to take for Arkansas to knock off Baylor?
Gosh, that's a good question. I would say for Baylor, it's going to come down to the perimeter defense, right? That's kind of been their calling card all year long. If they can take away the perimeter game and keep it from even becoming an inside game, that's going to be the biggest thing for Baylor. So Davion Mitchell, Mark Vital, Jared Butler. I mean, it's kind of the same cast of characters that need to show up defensively. Then offensively, you got to make shots outside. That sounds simple enough, but I want to see Maceo Teague hitting from deep, Davion Williams hitting from deep. If we can get the outside shot going early and put away Arkansas.
Davion Mitchell.
Did I say Davion Williams?
Yeah, you did.
I think I know a Davion Williams from like my high school, so that's a blast from the past. Davion Mitchell, get it going from deep. Davion Williams too, if he wants to show up and suit up for the Bears and get it going from deep. Anybody and everybody who has it going from deep, let's rock and roll tonight. But yeah, man, I think that's gonna be the biggest thing. If Baylor can get up early and put away this team, that would be enormous for morale.
It was poor shooting against Villanova in the first half, especially. Baylor looked absolutely dismal in their shooting performance against Nova, and I think you're not going to see that again. One of the things I noted on Twitter or in the post-game article is that Baylor is not privy to performances like that on the offensive end. You catch them on an off night, right? And they still end up winning. They're not going to have multiple off nights in a row.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't shoot that well. I didn't think they shot that well against Hartford either, but lo and behold, they ended up winning. They ended up winning against Hartford, and now they notched the win against Villanova. So here's what I got. I think Baylor has the better. They're deeper. Whether it be starting lineup or bench, Baylor is deeper without a doubt. That said, I'm still worried about different features in Arkansas's game. They've got a guy by the name of Moses Moody from Montverde that's unbelievable in the offensive end. Against LSU, he had 15 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. So that was the SEC semifinal. Baylor's got the guys that can do it, the pieces that can do it. Another key, though, somebody put it out there today, the turnover rate. Baylor is forcing an unbelievable, I think 54 forced turnovers in the first 3 games of the tournament. In their last 2 games, Baylor has only given up 10.
Yeah,
total in the last 2 games, double digits combined. So if Baylor protects the basketball, holds on to the basketball, I don't think they'll have an issue. Arkansas plays much more sporadic than Baylor. I think Baylor's got a much more level head than Arkansas does. I like Baylor to win the game tonight. I would honestly be surprised if we see a game where Arkansas comes out, they will hit shots. Baylor's defense is going to have to lock in, but I'll be surprised if we see a game where Arkansas wins.
Yeah, and Baylor feeds off that, right? Like Baylor feeds off the chaos, off the sporadic nature of teams. If they can get loose balls, like Mark Vital jumping around, throwing it, saving balls from out of bounds, Davion Mitchell diving on the ground for loose balls, like that fires this team up and they feed off that. And honestly, when their offense isn't going, if they can get some scrappy defensive plays, we've seen it time and time and again, if they can just get some scrappy plays, get a steal here and there, and get out and run, let the horses run, Baylor is a completely different team. So I think that chaos and the chaos that Arkansas presents is really going to play well for Baylor tonight. And I'm with you. I don't think Baylor even gets tested really until the final game of this tournament. I think that Baylor has the firepower and should expect to win every game until they get to that tournament. And then I think there's more, strategy and gameplay that comes into it. But just all things considered, Baylor should win tonight. They are the better team, and I would expect them to execute and come out with a big win tonight. Final 4, baby. Let's roll.
How about it? So we got Mike Neighbors joining the show at 12:05. A lot of different stuff we're breaking down across the men's and women's game. And I got to ask you before we get into our Music Monday.
Love it.
How you feeling today about the women's game tonight against UConn?
I think it's game day vibes. I'm a little more nervous because UConn and just the brand of UConn, I think, for whatever reason, as a fan, you hear it and you're like, Got to play those guys. Got to play those guys in the Elite Eight. Like you said, Paige Becker, she's a bucket. Probably the best player in this entire tournament, if you ask me, just from what she brings from a scoring perspective. But yeah, man, I mean, again, I'm not totally nervous because of what Baylor's doing and how well Baylor's coached. I think it's the first time we'll see Baylor go toe-to-toe with a coach that's as good as Coach Mulkey. But yeah, man, I think Baylor still gets it done tonight. It'll be a close one, though, and it'll be the first time Baylor's tested, like we said, this whole tournament.
There's been a lot of volatility on the women's side. I think so. Tonight you got Gino Auriemma against Kim Mulkey, which is just an all-time matchup. Two of the very best to ever do it. And so I'm leery, man. I don't know. Paige Beckers is really, really good. This entire UConn team is young, but so good. I think it'll be good for years to come. They're my national champion next year, without a doubt.
Really interesting.
But Nalissa Smith, 11 for 11 against Michigan. Michigan played really, really well. They end their season at 16-6. Baylor's 28-2 coming into this. We're going to hear from Gino Auriemma later on in the show. And Gino said it. He said, in no world should Baylor be a 2 seed. No world should Baylor be a 2 seed, and in no world should we be playing them in the Elite Eight. This should be a Final Four matchup. But somebody's got to lose at some point between either Baylor or UConn. That's just the way that's the way the world goes around. Yeah. And tonight's that night. All right, how about this? We got some Music Monday action going on. I would have loved to have gotten calls early on in the show.
I know.
And it just didn't work out.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles. It
is
March. It is March.
Can you imagine if we would have gotten callers today for the Elite Eight?
Well, the great news is we'll get callers for the Final Four in the Elite Eight tomorrow.
Yeah, if they win tonight, tomorrow's show's going to be crazy.
We're going to be getting a lot of calls.
Also, it's a post-game show tonight.
I know.
You want to do a post-game show?
I know. I don't see why not.
Let's do a post-game show.
I found that out today, years old.
You found out 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, we're rocking and rolling.
How about that? Armstrong, do we have Music Monday today?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I'll give you 45 if you need it. This is going to be a needed break for all of us.
From just this day.
The madness.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just hilarious. Walked in and Armstrong's like,
we're not having a show.
We may not be having a show, and if we do, we won't be live in 5 minutes. I was like, all right, well,
yeah.
I guess me and Drake can talk a little bit. We talked about mountain lions
versus
cougars.
We had a long conversation about, did you know a puma and a mountain lion is the same thing?
I had no idea.
A mountain lion and a cougar are the same thing. Conversely, a puma and a cougar are the same thing.
And one Google search will tell you that.
One Google search is all that it takes.
Don't Google puma, because puma will bring you the brand, which we also realized you have to Google puma cat.
A panther is different from all of those. Have we filibustered long enough? We have. All right, Music Monday,
Filibuster.
roll it.
I have not listened to this. I just made it without listening. So here we go.
Sweet,
David filibuster.
Over my head.
I should have bought you flowers.
Could fly like birds on high, then straight
From Sugar Ray, Panmon, John Brando, the king and I, and the catcher in the last bit way offline. He fallen to pieces.
Wow.
Okay. I feel okay.
I have a handful of these.
And it feels
I
right.
feel like it's a good day.
Was a good day. Were you able to send me the Zoom calls? Also, sorry about that.
Stay around.
I don't know the Zoom calls yet.
Because it was a good day.
I just hope the sun stays around. While we're working on that, someone asked, what was the Sweet 16 close game against Michigan all about? I think it was because Michigan's really good. They have Naz Hillman, who's spectacular, and Baylor's able to hold her down, but still Michigan's really, really good. Also, on Music Monday,
What do y'all think?
Okay. I have at least, I think, 7 points. What do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have probably 5 or 6 off the first listen.
Really? Okay. Do we get a second listen or sorry? Okay.
got everything I want, 'cause
I got you over my head.
I should have bought you flowers.
could fly like birds on high, then straight
From Sugar Ray, Panmon, John Brando, the king and I, and the catcher in the last bit way offline. He fallen to pieces.
All right.
Yeah, I probably have 5 or 6.
Okay. I'm going to go with song number 1. Song number 1, All Right by Darius Rucker.
I have that as well.
That's correct.
You have
All right,
you
we
got
go.
Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker and All Right, baby.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
impressed by that. Second one?
Bruno Mars. Oh gosh, I'm going back and forth. I have one thing written down, but I think it's wrong. I think it's Bruno Mars. We're gonna go with what we have written down. No, Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man.
I just have Your Man.
Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man.
There we go. There
4-3.
Wow. We got Come Fly With Me, Frank Sinatra, number 3.
I just have Sinatra.
No, incorrect. Both.
Dang it.
Beyond the Sea.
Ted Williams.
I had no idea.
Bobby Darin.
Bobby
Dude,
Darin.
never even heard of him. Wouldn't know him if he hit me in the face. I have no idea. You know what number 4 is? I have no idea.
Yeah, we didn't start the fire. Billy Joel. I'm up by 1. I'm up by 1 now.
There we go.
What did you get for number 5?
I have Had a Bad Day. Don't know who it's by.
I'm going to beat JD. Mostly because he does not get this point. Because it's Bad Day.
It is Bad Day.
No.
And it's by something Powell?
It's by...
Oh, that wasn't.
Daniel
I think
Pouter.
I covered though. I think I covered the spread. It was 3. It was 2.5 points.
You absolutely.
And you only lost by 2.
There it is, baby.
Yay! All right, how about it? When we come back from this break, the craziness that Uptempo has been today, it is. We're going to open up the call lines later on in the show, though. But Mike Neighbors, head coach of the Arkansas women's basketball team, opens up our show, the rest of the show today, as we talk about Baylor and UConn tonight. He played both of them this season. He beat both of them this season, a feat that nobody else has ever done.
None.
Nobody has ever done. He did it this year. We're going to talk to him about it and get his thoughts on today's matchup. So when we come back, Mike Neighbors joins the show. This
is Uptempo.
Consider their tickets punched. Both the Baylor men and women are in action in the Elite 8 today with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biting game Saturday in which Baylor trailed Villanova 30-23 at halftime. That's when the defense turned it on. The Baylors held the Wildcats to just 21 second-half points while putting up 39 themselves to notch a 62-51 victory. With Arkansas sneaking past Oral Roberts, Baylor meets the Razorbacks in an old Southwest Conference matchup at 8:57 tonight on CBS. Elsewhere, Oregon State and Houston will square off for a trip to the Final Four, while Gonzaga will meet USC and Michigan will meet UCLA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears gave fans a heart attack with a tight overtime win over Michigan, 78-75 in the Sweet 16. Melissa Smith was a perfect 11 for 11 in the game to lead the team with 24 points. Through the rest of the bracket, UConn handled Iowa and will meet Baylor at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Texas notched a wild upset over Maryland to meet South Carolina in the Elite 8. And Indiana versus Arizona and Louisville and Stanford make up the rest of the regional final matchups. Across other Baylor athletics, the softball team dominated Texas Tech in Lubbock with a 3-game road sweep to open conference play, while the baseball team came up empty at TCU, losing all 3 games of the series. The soccer team knocked off Louisiana 5-0, and the acrobatics and tumbling team and men's tennis team both won on the weekend. And head coach Shaka Smart left Texas men's basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dyna guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Monday, folks. How about it? It is Elite 8 game day, not just on the women's side, but the men's side too. And to help us break it down, it's UConn and Baylor today. There's one coach in the country this season that beat both UConn and Baylor and has a birthday on March 29th, and spending his birthday with us on March 29th, Coach Mike Neighbors, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Coach, thanks for coming on today.
Of course, man. That's a lot of qualifiers to get me in there, though. I mean, that's a bunch of things that make me unique. But looking forward to this. It's fun, man. Congrats on your show.
Absolutely. I looked it up, and Vic Schaefer does not have a birthday today, and Muffet doesn't have a birthday today. So, yeah, you're in the clear right there. How about it? Birthday today, coming on the show. I mean, you got to have some big plans, right? Like going out to the butcher shop, or maybe some, what's the Gonzola? What's the Catfish Hole?
Catfish Hole certainly is a great place to go, or Rod's Barbecue, but it's closed on Monday. So coming on the show was the highlight of the day so far. So hopefully it picks up from here with all the great action. But yeah, it's going to be a fun day.
How about it? We were going to buy you a birthday cake and eat it on the show, but then I remembered that I'm still a broke college kid. So Not today, maybe next birthday we'll fix it. We'll fix it. But how about this, Coach? You coming into this season, lot of parity across the board. Everybody knew that was going to happen with COVID and the different things you had to do and implement. And then you get UConn and Baylor both on your schedule, and your team was able to beat both of those teams. What does that mean to you, to your program, and the state of Arkansas?
Well, to me personally, that I wasn't too crazy. I was a little bit of like, what are you doing here? I mean, I had a few people that. So we don't cross the line over from borderline into insane. We can stay crazy. That's okay. Program-wise, people answer the phone now when we call, and they're calling us. All that validation stuff that goes with beating somebody that's the defending champ in Baylor. And, the 11-time, 15 straight Final Fours, all the things that you could, say about UConn. So it worked out in the COVID year that both those games were able to be here at home. And that obviously had a huge impact on the outcome of the games. But, for us as a program, it was some validation that we were starting to head in the right direction in our rebuild, and that now we need needs some consistency, but on a given night, we can compete with anybody in the country.
When you think about those games, and there's coaches that we've had on the show before have talked about big moments in big games that they never forget. Is there a moment for you, we'll start with the Baylor game, where maybe you look at the scoreboard or looked into the crowd that you thought, wow, like this is a staple victory?
Yeah, throughout the last minute of the game, it was back and forth, but just anytime you can get a spontaneous hog call, which is very rare at our women's games, not one where the announcer stands up and, or the cheerleaders come out and say, let's call the hog. If it's spontaneous and one broke out on a defense, we needed a defensive stop against Baylor there late and it broke out. That's the moment in that game I'll probably remember as that goosebump moment. And then just how gracious Kim was in her press game, the nice things she said about our team and our program. All of those things will be things that we will celebrate, hopefully, with reunions and things like that in the future.
Well, the top dogs definitely weren't out of the way. You had UConn come up after that, and in that game, Chelsea Dungy drops a 37-piece. UConn comes back within 3 points there at the end of it. What do you remember about that game and another staple victory part 2 on your season?
That was always going to be about the way it came together, because that was never a scheduled game. We had just talked about it, on the road, trying to get games. They have a player from Arkansas, and we talked about trying to get her home, but we didn't have that game on the schedule to start the year. And because Vanderbilt opted out of their season and they had an opening in their Big East schedule, we got that thing thrown together, and it was just spontaneous. Ended up being a sellout for us at home. And then, like you said, for Chelsea, a big-time performer to put on a big-time performance was one of those ones, again, that will be memorialized over the years. There was 4,400 there that night. A few years from now, there'll be 10,000 people saying they were there. That's one of those games.
When you can get the Bud rocking, that's always a good thing. One of the best. So it was at the Palace of Mid-America. So yeah. I tell you, this UConn team, as they come in to face Baylor tonight, is coming off a win against Iowa that was, you don't want to necessarily say staple victory of their season, but of the tournament, it was a statement in the way they defeated that team by 20 points. And they've got Paige Beckers. They've got Kristen Williams, Dangerfield. The list goes on. What makes this UConn team so good?
Well, what you just mentioned, first and foremost, is just talent at every spot and depth of it. But I think what makes them different is how they surrender to the team. That they all do what's needed that night. One night it's Beckers, one night it's Adota, one night it's Kristen Williams, one night it's, somebody off the bench. It's Edwards coming in, another freshman that's playing great. But they do such a great job of getting talent to play roles. And that's just really, really hard to do in today's society. And UConn probably does that as good or better than anybody out there.
When it comes to game planning for a UConn team, where you're not just game planning against those athletes and that star-studded cast, but you're game planning against Gino Auriemma, who may be the very best to ever do it on the men's or women's side, how do you prepare for a team like this?
Well, you try to do something that's different. He's seen it all. So you try to throw a variation in there, and, that comes with, our style of play. Shoot it quick before they can turn us over. And you got to make shots. That night we did. We knew we had to get the game into the high 80s and 90s. You have to be able to score against them. And then the biggest thing is to make sure you're not beat before you ever show up that day. And I think we did a good job of telling those kids, you're not having to play against Sue Bird and Breonna Stewart and those 11-time national champions. You're playing against this current team. Now, obviously, they, since we've played, have really got on a roll, and I think their roles have identified. But for us that night, it was making sure our kids knew we were playing the UConn Huskies that were coming into Bud Walton that night, not the people of the past. And then you do have to be able to function and score against them. Their offense gets so much talk, but I'm telling you, their defense is where they can demoralize you if you allow it to. So you got to have your kids ready to handle some adverse moments. They're very streaky. So that's what Baylor's capable of doing tonight, though, for sure.
Looking across the way at a Baylor team that has been so good defensively this season, there was an ESPN analyst last week that said, this Baylor team, it is obvious why their defense is so good. For those, Coach, that may not follow the women's game as closely, what is it? What makes it obvious that Baylor's defense is elite?
Well, you're going to have pressure on the ball, every pass, cut, dribble is going to be highly contested. And then if you do happen to come up with a way to get by them, there's Nalissa and there's Egbo and, and D.D. Richards too. I mean, they're so in tune. Kim's personality osmotically soothes over to them, and there's just a toughness about them. You feel a pressure every time you get an open shot because you're not going to get very many of those. And it's relentless, and it's coming in waves. So, they can be intimidating. Not very many teams that we've played against in the past can be intimidating. Baylor's always had that ability, and I think this year's team, you can see it on the nights when they're connected. It's really hard to get any shot, much less a clean shot.
When you think about this Baylor squad, you got the Queen Egbo that you listed, Nalissa Smith, who's a first-team All-American and a candidate for Player of the Year. Then you have Moon Urson as well. And it's like D.D. Richards gets lost in that mix from time to time when you throw in Dejanay Carrington. Star-studded cast, star head coach. How do you game plan? How do you beat that?
Well, you make sure that you go against the kids on the floor. You got to take out, again, just like with UConn, you got to take out their defendings and their past. You've got to talk about one thing that may be a little chink in the armor, whether you have to fabricate it or not. As a coach, maybe you make it up. Hey, this kid really can't, even though they can. You've got to go at something. You can't expect it to be A, B, or C. They're going to take away your A, B, or C, and they're going to play to their A, B, or C. So you've got to do something different that they're not comfortable doing, whether that's with pace, whether that's with full court transition. You've got to do something to take them out of their rhythm because they're so rhythmic and they're so good at situational things. So you got to create some chaos a little bit. And there's a few ways you can do that. It can backfire on you, though. You can get beat 40 real quick. So you've got to have your A game on a night when they might have their B+ game or their C game. But you've got to play well because if you don't, they're like sharks in the water. They smell that blood, and it's just it's over from that point.
When you think about the matchup tonight, the Baylor and UConn, which has been storied in the last 15 years, almost 2 decades, the Kim Mulkey, Gino Auriemma matchups that have been so tightly contested across the years, what comes to mind? What are the first thoughts that generate when you hear Baylor versus UConn?
It's usually somebody in those games that we haven't talked about. It's going to be somebody making a play, somebody that's not necessarily A, B, or C on the scouting report. It may be Sarah Andrews coming in off the bench making a big play, or one of the Olivers coming in making a play, or maybe Nika Mule gets healthy for UConn and she comes back and gives them a spurt. But usually when you get those two Titans clash, it's usually somebody you hadn't talked about, or somebody you haven't necessarily pre-gamed for that has an unexpected good game or an unexpected bad game. So probably the team that commits the fewest my bads, that's what I'd say. Whoever has fewest my bads or whatever they do, when they make those mistakes, that's the team that probably advances because they've both said it. It's kind of a shame that this game's not, part of the Final Four because I think they're two of the best teams in the country.
Coach, you've been able to game plan and scheme for both of these squads this season and knocked off both of these teams. So when you think about those two scouting reports coming together and having a game on the floor, what do you expect to see tonight from first tip to final buzzer?
I think you're going to see two teams really trying to grasp control over the pace. I think UConn wants it to probably be the highest number it can possibly be. I think Baylor probably wants it to be a little bit on the lower side of that. So I think – and not that Baylor won't run with you. They're very opportunistic. They'll do that. But I think you're going to see two teams trying to grasp and impose their identity and their will on the other one. And probably the team that can do it the longest, they don't have to do it at the first, but whoever can do it the biggest duration of time, that's the team that's going to come back, be able to do it. And they can do it in lots of ways. They can all win at different paces, but whatever they've decided, whatever Kim and her staff has decided versus whatever Gino and his staff has decided, whoever sticks to that for the closest to 40 minutes got the best chance. And then I think somebody's got to make a play.
Glad you said that, because Baylor went the duration against Michigan, found a way to win that one in overtime, and found a way to outlast the Lady Wolverines. So when you've got a team like Baylor and a team like UConn, I got to ask you, we've been singing their praises so much, but no team is indestructible. Neither of these teams are undefeated. What is it? What's the kryptonite or the one area where each team could improve?
Well, I think UConn, they do have a chink if you can score against them. If you can't score against them, then they demoralize you. But if you can keep coming back at them, keep punching back, kind of that Rocky mentality. Okay, I took that one. Okay, yeah, you got me there, but I still got something. And I think that goes both ways. I think you got to be able to stand in there toe-to-toe and take their punches. They're both of these teams probably walk the line between cocky and confident as good or better than anybody. And they don't ever cross it. Like Baylor never crossed over to cocky. UConn never crosses over to cocky. But they're both damn sure confident. So, that's the thing. You've got to be able to see that and have somebody on your team. We had Dungy that got her shot blocked both games. If you'll go back and watch our games, now Alyssa got her once and Adodo got her once, and they both chirped just a little. And from that point on, Dungy was the best player on the floor in both games. So you got to have somebody like that. They both have people, but to me, it's going to be the team, like I said, that establishes the control of the pace. And then the next factor probably would be who can stay poised when those moments happen, when it gets a little chippy, when this talking starts going, which happens every game. Y'all don't always see it, but it happens every game. Whoever can handle that the best probably has the best shot at it.
Coach, before I get to the next question, off the top of your head, where is Rocky on your all-time movie rankings?
The original?
The original.
The original's down probably in the mid-hundreds. I'm a Rocky IV guy because I was graduating at age 7, so I'm a Rocky IV guy. The fear of Russia growing up in the Cold War puts that one towards the top for me. So Rocky IV is in the top 25, though.
For those that don't know, how expanded is your movie and music rankings? How big have those gotten since the last time we talked?
Well, since COVID struck, my playlist is over 55,000, 1 through 55,000. The movie list is getting close to 3,000. But I've had to put a little caveat in there because, not going to theaters, we haven't had a chance. So I'm having to count streaming movies, things that have been released to Netflix. Those count. We're getting close to 3,000. We're well over 55,000 on songs.
Between a new baby and now the streaming services all with popularity, I don't know how you've got free time anywhere, but I guess you're spending it doing what you love, and that's what matters, Coach. And I want to know, you've compared both the scouting reports, compared both of these teams. What could give Baylor an edge tonight?
Well, I think defense in a one-game scenario can carry you. We saw it last night with Texas. I'm not one of these guys that thinks defense wins championships. You do have to be able to score. But I think Baylor can score. But I think their defense does have an edge to it that could give UConn some disruption. And if they can disrupt them with their defense, their offense is good enough to fight back on the other end and pull off a victory. That's for sure. But you've got to have both ends, and I think that could be the thing. It could be their defensive mindset, their defensive intensity that makes the difference in a one-game setting.
How about it? Well, Coach, before we let you get out of here, question of the day today. What is your ritual? What is the one thing that, hey, game by game, you're like, all right, I got to do this, otherwise we're going to lose? Your ritual or your superstition?
I used to play baseball, so I used to have a ton of them. But the one thing that always happens in the pregame, I'll always do something with 22 seconds on the clock, like 10-22 or 22-22, whether it's go back into the locker room or go shake the other coach's hands. 22 was my high school number. I was, like I said, I grew up in the 80s, so I had it on a nugget chain that hung around my chest, right here. Everybody had one. So something with 22 on there.
How about this? And this is a Bear Games question that I'm going to tailor to you specifically. There's a men's basketball game that's going on tonight, and I figure I'm sure you're going to put the baby down by then. You might have a TV on or two. Is that right?
There will be, yeah. It will definitely be on. Obviously, it's funny. Scott Drew and I are the defending chili cook-off champions from the Nike coaches trip. So he and I and Kelly, we know each other very well. So it'll be fun watching. But, obviously I'll be cheering for Coach Muss and the Hogs. And I will definitely be tuned in. And Bowen will definitely be asleep by 9 o'clock. If not, we'll put a little Tylenol in there if we need to. He's got to go down.
Well, how about it? Hey, it's a big day for me because no matter what, somebody's going to the Final Four. We got ties to both of them, so I can't be disappointed. Last two here for you, though. Big Hero 6 or Wreck-It Ralph in our Disney movie madness?
Wow. This is all going because of the love that my son had for it. He's a Wreck-It Ralph guy because he's a video game. I love Big Six, so it's really sad. But Wreck-It Ralph wins in a tight one because of its defense.
It's March. Anything can happen. It upset minded. Anything
can happen in that racket.
We get a little bit tougher here, though. How about Beauty and the Beast or Mulan?
Mulan, not even close. Blowout.
Wow.
Mulan, Eddie Murphy makes Mulan. He's so underrated in that. And the soundtrack, solid, real solid.
That's a 6 seed over a 3. I'm talking, look.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll say this partly too. I enjoyed the stage version of Beauty and the Beast probably more than the movie. So it probably hurt it in my eye a little bit. But Mulan, as long as we're going animated to animated, still Mulan for me.
Wow. Lock it in. Coach Mike Neighbors right here. You can tell him he said so. Coach, happy birthday. And thanks for coming on today.
You bet. Thanks. It was fun.
Absolutely. And then again, that was Coach Mike Neighbors, University of Arkansas, our Lady Razorbacks. They knocked off both UConn and Baylor earlier this year. So who better to shoot you straight? Coach Neighbors said tonight, the edges defense for Baylor. If it's going to be anything that leads them over UConn in a one-game stand, it'll be Baylor's defense and their ability to lock things down, not just on the perimeter, but the inside as well with Queen Egbo and Alyssa Smith. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. When we come back, we're going to break down both of these games. You got Baylor and UConn squaring off on the Elite Eight side of the women's. You got Baylor and Arkansas squaring off the Elite Eight side of the men's. So what we got for you is Scott Drew, the best 5 minutes of his sound bites alongside Adam Flagler. We've got Eric Musselman, head coach of Arkansas, the top 5 minutes from his sound bites, and Gino Auriemma, the top 5 minutes from his sound bites. Each of those coaches prefacing their matchups tonight. It's the biggest day maybe in Baylor sports history. You got to fact check me on that. But this might be the biggest day in Baylor sports history. Somebody tell me if it's not. This, though, don't go anywhere, is Up-Tempo.
Consider their tickets punched. Both the Baylor men and women are in action in the Elite Eight today with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biting game Saturday in which Baylor trailed Villanova 30-23 at halftime. That's when the defense turned it on. The Baylors held the Wildcats to just 21 second-half points while putting up 39 themselves to notch a 62-51 victory. With Arkansas sneaking past Oral Roberts, Baylor meets the Razorbacks in an old Southwest Conference matchup at 8:57 tonight. That's where Oregon State and Houston will square off for a trip to the Final Four, while Gonzaga will meet USC and Michigan will meet UCLA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears gave fans a heart attack with a tight overtime win over Michigan, 78-75 in the Sweet 16. Alyssa Smith was a perfect 11 for 11 in the game to lead the team with 24 points. Through the rest of the bracket, UConn handled Iowa and will meet Baylor at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Texas notched a wild upset over Maryland to meet South Carolina in the Elite Eight. And Indiana versus Arizona and Louisville and Stanford make up the rest of the regional final matchups. Across other Baylor athletics, the softball team dominated Texas Tech in Lubbock with a 3-game road sweep to open conference play, while the baseball team came up empty at TCU, losing all 3 games of the series. The soccer team knocked off Louisiana 5-0, and the acrobatics and tumbling team and men's tennis team both won on the weekend. And head coach Shaka Smart left Texas men's basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84 and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? by not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs. Even everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
I got breaking news here. We got Western Athletic Conference just announced they're adding several schools.
The WAC.
The WAC.
Okay. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
I think Coach Gundy would be like my guy that I would just like just a hair. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it flow when I kind of slam his arm down.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. How about a little Mike Neighbors action? That guy has, almost 3,000 movies, 18,000 songs, all listed in his archives as just ranked 1 to 3,000, 1 to whatever it is. Unbelievable, always unbelievable interview, and a good friend of mine. So glad we got to have him on, Coach Mike Neighbors. Later on in the show, Coach Matt Zimmerman, 105, joins things via Zoom. Matt Zimmerman's the color analyst for University of Arkansas men's team. Not only that, he also was the assistant coach for the University of Arkansas there for a while. All right, we're live right now on YouTube, live on Twitter, Periscope, whatever they do. Also, Periscope shutting down soon. I was told, my friends told me that. My friends did. Sent me an email. So check us out. You'll find what's the best way to listen for you. Follow us on Twitter at UpTempo365. It's game day today. All right, we're breaking things down on the Arkansas side of things. I tell you, I want to give a little bit of analysis on the Arkansas and Baylor matchup as these two teams square off tonight in the Elite Eight. Arkansas does not have a dominant big man, right? They have Jalen Williams, who I watched while he was in high school. You know, I've followed this team for a while, and he's not daunting. What you've got right here, Justin Smith for Arkansas is not bad. He's pretty solid inside, but I tell you, if you stop Moses Moody, you're going to be able to stop Arkansas pretty well. They've also got a big 7'4" guy. His name's Connor Vanover, right? We got a video to show of him here in a little bit. Connor Vanover can shoot outside. He was from Cal, transferred to Arkansas. He's not going to give Arkansas too many problems inside. Granted, he's big, he's tall, 7'4", but he's about $110. That's right. He's very, very thin, not a lot of muscle to him. Vanover can shoot from the outside. Watched him play in high school. Really good from the outside. But inside, unless he's taller than you and just puts it over your head, you're not going to have too many issues. Same Arkansas team that lost to LSU, 78-71. I think Baylor can take a lot from that game, pull it, use it in this game. They lost earlier in the year. They've won 12 out of 13. 12 out of 13, so they're doing really well. Earlier in the season, they lost at LSU, 92-76. They lost at Alabama, 90-59. They lost to Tennessee by 5, to Missouri by 13 at home. They've lost to some pretty not great teams. They lost at Oklahoma State by 4. So, tell you what, they're beatable, without a doubt. They're hot right now, which who isn't? It's the Elite Eight, but they are very, very beatable. And I want you to know, they got Eric Musselman, their head coach. We broke down Muss last Friday as they were preparing to play Oral Roberts. Had a video of him responding to some CBS reporters, but now we've got Musselman. Here's the top 5 minutes. We pulled 5 minutes from his press conference as he talked about the Baylor Bears and what the University of Arkansas Razorbacks are preparing for going into tonight's game against Baylor. Here are the top 5 minutes from Eric Musselman talking about Baylor. We've got the audio, the visual. We got the visual right there. We're trying to tie the audio in with that. Before we get to that, though, on the other side of things, like I mentioned, the guy to stop for the University of Arkansas from Montverde High School, Moses Moody. Who's going to stop him but Davion Mitchell? What's going to be the key tonight is Baylor's defense, and that's one of the things that Musselman talked about as we got that queued up and ready to go right here. Top 5 minutes. Yesterday's press conference, pregame press conference with Eric Musselman.
Our first question comes from John Werner from the Waco Tribune-Herald. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, John Werner, Waco Tribune-Herald. Coach, what do you see from Baylor's guards, and why are they so hard to defend?
Because they're really good players. Obviously 45, Mitchell can shoot the ball. He can beat his man off the bounce. 12, Butler, great three-point shooter, great all-around player. Number 10, Flagler did a great job last night. Thought he played excellent all-around game. 31, Teague. I can go all the way down the line. They're all great shooters. They can beat you off the bounce. They have great spacing. They defend as perimeter players. This is just a really, really difficult team to prepare for.
Hey, staying on the subject of Baylor's guards, I know they've forced a ridiculous amount of turnovers in this tournament, and their points off turnovers is pretty crazy in their favor. Well, what have you seen from that, and how concerning is that? I don't know, you have good guards. You guys have taken good care of the ball for the most part, but how concerning is the way they can turn people over and turn that into points pretty quick?
Yeah, we just, we've got to try to avoid catastrophic turnovers, meaning live ball turnovers. We've got to get shots on goal. You've got to move the basketball. You can't, you can't have bad, poor shot selection. Because I thought Villanova did a really good job for, the first 28 minutes of the game, and then all of a sudden, Baylor turned up their defensive intensity and started causing turnovers, and so we're gonna have to, like I said, avoid any catastrophic turnovers and try to get shots on goal and take care of the basketball, and you put that thing on the deck and they'll swarm to you. They'll leave the strong side corner. They'll attack the ball with multiple people when you try to get in the lane. So it'll be really important for us to have patience and to make the right reads against defensive converges.
Hey, Coach, congratulations again on the win last night. To feed off of some of what you've been talking about, Baylor being difficult to prepare for, how do you come off of an emotional win like you did last night that's so physically and mentally draining and turn the page and prepare on short order for a game like this?
It's a great question, Curtis. That's just kind of the nature of the tournament. We're not going to have the time to prepare like we had, an ABC and actually went to our D coverage last night against Oral Roberts. We're not going to have that opportunity from a preparation standpoint. We did start our preparation last night when we got back to the hotel, and we were able to eat our team meal together and start having some conversations. And, we've already had a video session at breakfast. There's another one going on right now. that I'm not part of, and Devo won't be part of, and Devo and I'll sit down individually and go through what the team's going through right now. And then we get back to the hotel, we'll do another, and our film sessions are really short. They're like 5 to 7 minutes to try to keep our players' attention. And here at Lucas Oil today, we'll be able to walk through some stuff. But obviously with the minutes that guys played, we're not going to be able to defend their actions live, which really changes our preparation, because sometimes when you go live, you can tinker a little bit, tweak some things, and playing tomorrow, we're not gonna defend the stuff live, which hardly ever happens to us, not defending situations live. So unique way to prepare, but both teams and all the teams that are in the Elite Eight and trying to make a Final Four, everybody's on the same even playing field as far as preparation time.
Next question comes from Kendall Cott. Go ahead, Kendall.
Kendall Cott, ODB. Are there some ways that playing Texas Tech earlier in the tournament gives you help preparing against Baylor's defense, or are they pretty unique?
I mean, I think every team's kind of unique and has their own identity, their own style, but obviously playing, two teams from the conference, you get a little bit of a feel. I do think there's some similarities defensively as far as toughness, as far as the physicality. Both Baylor and Texas Tech are very, very physical defensive teams. They're also two very, very well coached defensive teams. So I think there are some similarities, that we can draw on, maybe some mini themes that we can try to share with our team. But again, I think just every personnel is slightly different, even if schemes have some similarities to each other.
Yeah, Devo, Baylor forces a lot of turnovers and scores a lot of points off those. What are you seeing from their defense? And especially for a young guy like you going against their senior and junior guards, how big a challenge is that with the way they can turn people over?
Well, for me, we watched film a little bit on them and did some of our homework, and we know that they always crash into the ball on the dribble drive. So I feel that a lot of kickouts will be needed, and we will have to knock down perimeter shots, and I think we'll be ready for that.
That was Coach Eric Musselman, and then Devo Davis. Devo Davis is the one that hit the shot on top of an Oral Roberts defender, A. Smith, to send Arkansas to the Elite Eight. Again, I mean, that was a tight game against Oral Roberts. If I got Baylor and Oral Roberts squaring off, give me Baylor by 15, folks. I like Baylor to win that game by a lot. Arkansas struggle with them. Granted, it's March. I get it. Teams get hot. Arkansas is one of those teams that's been playing well, but you got to look at that. They don't close out games that well. Texas Tech should have beaten Arkansas. They should have. They missed 2 open layups. Mac McClung missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Otherwise, Arkansas loses in the round of 32. Arkansas, Oral Roberts. A. Smith gets a great look at a three-pointer. If he drains it, well, how about it? Hello, Oral Roberts. They're facing off against Baylor. Arkansas, yes, they've won. And I know it's so weird to say that they struggle closing out games because they keep winning. Right. However, they're not winning in convincing fashion. Baylor's win against Villanova, convincing second half. Convincing defense. Baylor's win on last Sunday against Wisconsin. Convincing defensive win. Shot decently. The win against Hartford. Convincing win. Arkansas has struggled through the tournament at this point. They win. They find a way to win. But Baylor just does it consistently. Baylor is a consistent basketball team. And that's one of the things that Scott Drew talked about. So we got the first 5 minutes here, the top 5 minutes of Scott Drew's bites coming into the game against Arkansas, what he sees from the Hogs, what makes this Arkansas team deadly, and then a couple of clips from Adam Flagler as well. This from Scott Drew.
Well, I know we're really excited to still be in the bubble, and our players are excited because it's a quick turnaround, which means we don't have to have many practice days. And right now, they much rather play games than practice. So everybody's excited and getting geared up to play a very good Arkansas team.
John Werner, Waco Tribune Herald. Scott, what impresses you about Arkansas? It looks like they have pretty good balance all the way around?
Well, first is a team that plays extremely hard, very athletic. Muss has done a great job with them. 12-1 in their last 13 games, so basically the hottest team in the country besides Gonzaga. So you're playing a team that has a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence, and they really get after you. It doesn't matter if you're up, you're down. They're never out of it with their athleticism and toughness.
Yeah, Scott, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but both you and the women's program are playing 1,000 miles apart and about 3 hours apart, with a chance to go to the four, having made the Elite Eight. That's somewhat rare and a pretty neat accomplishment. Again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but what would that mean not only for the two programs, but for Baylor, and just the fact that both programs have gotten this far?
Well, I think it says a lot about Mac Rhodes, our AD, and our athletic administration, and President Livingstone, and the support they give our programs. And then also our programs are really close. And we got 17 sports. I believe 14 were ranked in the top 25. Everybody kind of feeds off of each other, encourages one another, supports one another. And then when you see other programs being successful, it makes you want to be more successful. And with the parity in college basketball, to have two programs both in the Elite Eight, that doesn't happen often, and it's just a great accomplishment again, and hats off to our administration for allowing us to be successful.
Yes, congratulations. I was just wondering, obviously at this point y'all are probably all caught up in preparation for this game, but y'all been there in the hotel for so long. I was just wondering if there were any creative ways that you, the staff, or any players could come up with, just in terms of breaking up the monotony to try to keep yourself occupied other than the obvious, like video games, scouting, Netflix, that like.
Well, Steve, we've actually, I can tell you, coaches have really enjoyed this time, because normally we don't get this kind of quality time with our players. And we've had some fierce Connect Four games, Uno games, and other things. So we've enjoyed being with our guys and getting a chance to know them better. And again, I can tell you that no team wants to leave the bubble. So it's an exciting time. Obviously, when games are going on, everybody's locked in watching other games. But when you see teams leave the hotel and the bubble, it just reinforces how fortunate you are to still be here and still be playing. So again, this will be one season that I'll always remember, just because you've never had this type of opportunity to spend this kind of quality time with your guys, and I think we've all grown a lot closer because of it.
Hey, Adam, you guys have faced a couple of teams that Arkansas has played as well. Does it make it easier to evaluate a team on film when they played a team like Oklahoma State or like Texas Tech that y'all have seen a couple times throughout the year?
I wouldn't say easier, because we've obviously never played them, but we definitely have people that we pay attention to, like you said, Oklahoma State, and it just gives us kind of a better look at things, and we're able to just adjust a little bit more and know a little bit more about the team. But it's still going to be a tough game, and we're excited to take on the challenge.
Yeah, Adam, I know it's been a pretty quick scout on Arkansas, but Moses Moody for Arkansas, number 5, he's their leading scorer. He's a freshman, but he doesn't really play like it. Just wondering what your take was on him.
He's definitely a really good player, player that we're going to put a lot of emphasis on, but we play a team defense, so as long as we are all connected, we feel like we can stop the team as a collective group, because they have a lot of other guys that can score the ball as well. So as long as we are connected out there, as long as we're paying attention to the scout, I think we'll be able to do what we want to do.
How about that? Scott Drew and company, Adam Flagler, ready for Arkansas tonight in the Elite Eight. Scott Drew's been here. He was here in 2012. And I think at Arkansas, you know who was not here? Eric Musselman. His squad, Arkansas, the program, they have not made a Final Four. They have not made an Elite Eight since they made a Final Four, an eventual national championship game in 1995. The year after they won it. They went there in 95, lost to UCLA. They won it against Duke in 94. And here they are for the first time in over 2 decades, scoring off against your Baylor Bears in the Elite Eight. How about the little oh, we got the fonts there. The font is there. Sweet. We're debuting new graphics today we've been experimenting with. I got a video here that I want to show you, though. You got that?
I do have it.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
I haven't seen it, so
this is the reason that Arkansas is going to lose tonight, folks. If you're watching on YouTube, check this out. This is the reason Arkansas is going to lose tonight.
I'm afraid of what this is.
So if you can replay that just without the audio.
I see no problem with this.
On loop. This is a family, the Vanover family, okay? Connor Vanover is the middle guy right there that's just running in. He's 7'4". The rest of them range from 7'3" to 7'6", okay? So they are huge. They are massive people. The middle one is a Division I basketball player. Like I said, he's about 7'3", 7'4", $110. That's Connor Vanover. He's going to start tonight for the University of Arkansas. His brother on the left is Brandon. Brandon played for the University of Central Arkansas and has actually played against Baylor a couple of times. They took Brandon, assuming that Connor would follow with him and go to UCA and play basketball there, which he did not. On the right, though, you see their other brother. Guess what he did?
I have no idea. I have no guess.
He played saxophone in the band at the University of Alabama. Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Hey, that's who Arkansas is playing tonight. That's
the saxophone player from Alabama?
Yeah. All right, that's who Arkansas is playing tonight. The middle guy right there, Connor Vanover. How about this? On the women's side, Baylor and UConn squaring off tonight in what will be, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say it right now. This is the biggest women's game that's taken place all year long. Baylor and UConn. UConn 4-point favorites. 136 over under. The UConn Huskies 27-1. I'm sorry. Baylor 28-2 tonight. That's at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Gino Auriemma had high praise for Kim Mulkey and the Baylor Lady Bears. We got the top 5 minutes from his press conference where Gino said, look, Baylor's much better than a 2 seed. Gino Auriemma, the greatest coach to ever do it, maybe on the men's and women's side, 15 straight Final Fours. They're trying for another one tonight. Can the Lady Bears knock them off and go to the Final Four in San Antonio? We'll find out at 6. Here's this from Gino Auriemma talking about Kim Mulkey and company. Top 5 minutes from Gino Auriemma's press conference.
Well, I mean, if you watch Baylor play, you can just be you can't be anything but impressed with their size and their physicality and their athletic ability. So having somebody like Aaliyah, that's an element that we didn't have last season, and that allows Liv an opportunity to, as Paige said, be more of a distributor for us and be, someone who can, occupy one of their defenders at the high post and gives us some defensive flexibility. Last year the entire defensive assignment was pretty much Liv versus the rest of them. So, I think we've got a little more to work with, but that's not going to make beating Baylor any easier.
You've talked about teams needing to play different styles to win in March, and obviously yesterday was, more of a track meet at times. I mean, Baylor, obviously defensively, I assume you're expected to be more of a grind. I mean, can you discuss that, just the style that they play and kind of what you're up against here?
Well, I think watching Baylor play, throughout the season, I don't think they have just one style. I think they can play half court, as you saw yesterday. They can get out in transition. They certainly have the athletic ability in the backcourt to be able to play as fast as they want to play. I think the game yesterday just turned into that kind of a game. I think for us, tomorrow we have to be prepared for whatever comes. If it's a fast-paced game, then we have to be able to, to function in that kind of a game. And if it's a half-court game, we have to be able to execute in that kind of a game. And I think at this time of the year, you've got to be able to adapt to whatever the game calls for.
Hi, Coach. Pat Edenrob with the Associated Press. I know you have tremendous respect for what Kim has built and been able to sustain at Baylor. I've noticed there seem to be similar formulas here. Defense first. Both teams seem to have a star player, but a lot of other pieces who could take over at any given game. Do you see those kind of similarities? And what do you see in the formula that they've built for success?
I think you're right. Every team that competes for a championship and actually has won a championship has pretty much used that formula if they want to come back. Now, if you're only trying to do it once and you're trying to give it, one shot at it, then maybe you don't have to do it this way. But I think if you want to be that kind of program that has a chance each year to put yourself in that situation, then that's how you have to do it. You have to recruit really good players, which they do. You have to play great defense, which they do. You have to be able to have players that can carry you individually at times, which they do. And you've got to be, tournament tough. Some teams are great during the regular season, and they're not so great in the tournament. So they have all those things, and that's why every year they're in the conversation, they're in the mix when it comes to national championship. And I think it's played out as you've seen. I think they were underseeded. Explain to me how they're a number 2 seed. So, these things happen. I know, but I think they deserve to be a number 1 seed if you look around the rest of the tournament. Not that any of the other number 1 seeds, including us, don't deserve it. But I think certainly Baylor is more than a number 2 seed. How we ended up in the same region, if that's even more shocking, given how good they are. So,
question about Kim. What really impresses you the most about the job she's done over the years, from program building to the way she coaches to her outgoing personality? What has she meant to the sport all these years?
I think Kim the coach is an extension of Kim the player. Maybe a lot of the media are too young to remember Kim as a player, or weren't following the sport when Kim was a player. But she coaches exactly the way she played. She's tough, she's competitive, she's driven. There's an intensity level about her. She multitasks. She coaches, she officiates, she does everything on the sideline with a passion. And most of all, I think it's been consistent. It's been consistent that she's been true to who she is. This is who Kim is. There's no act there that she's putting on. And her teams have been consistent. Each year they have the same formula. And some years it works out better than others, like the rest of us. But the best thing you can say about a coach is they're true to their personality. They believe in a certain way of playing and coaching, and they stay with it. And that's why she's had the success that she's had. It's no mystery, really.
High praise from Gino Auriemma for head coach Kim Mulkey of the Lady Bears. That game's at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Off the air, I just looked at Armstrong and said, this show's gone by fast. And then I remembered we didn't have the first 45 minutes of it. That's probably a good reason why. But I tell you what, technical difficulties. We actually have a Grande employee who's working right now, or I shouldn't have said that. We have a certain Internet Networks employee.
A company.
Who is working on our Wi-Fi as we speak, trying to get us back up because it's been pretty bad today, but we're going to get it back up and going. I said grande as in like great. We have a great internet guy. I was just trying to be multifaceted and diverse.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that was Gino Auriemma. High praise for Kim Mulkey coming into their matchup tonight at 6 o'clock. The winner of that one goes to the Final Four. 15 straight Final Four runs for Gino. How about it? Tonight is the night. Those two teams square off at 6 o'clock. How about this? When we come back, former Arkansas Razorback assistant coach and color analyst on their radio broadcast. This guy, Coach Matt Zimmerman, has been a part of the program for decades, and he comes on to tell us everything we need to know about this Razorback team because he has followed them closer than anybody else outside of the program. That is after this. Don't go anywhere. This right here is Up Tempo.
Consider their tickets punched. Both the Baylor men and women are in action in the Elite Eight today with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biting game Saturday in which Baylor trailed Villanova 30-23 at halftime. That's when the defense turned it on. The Baylors held the Wildcats to just 21 second-half points while putting up 39 themselves to notch a 62-51 victory. With Arkansas sneaking past Oral Roberts, Baylor meets the Razorbacks in an old Southwest Conference matchup at 8:57 tonight on CBS. Elsewhere, Oregon State and Houston will square off for a trip to the Final Four, while Gonzaga will meet USC and Michigan will meet UCLA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears gave fans a heart attack with a tight overtime win over Michigan, 78-75 in the Sweet 16. Melissa Smith was a perfect 11 for 11 in the game to lead the team with 24 points. Through the rest of the bracket, UConn handled Iowa and will meet Baylor at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Texas notched a wild upset over Maryland to meet South Carolina in the Elite Eight. And Indiana versus Arizona and Louisville and Stanford make up the rest of the regional final matchups. Across other Baylor athletics, the softball team dominated Texas Tech in Lubbock with a 3-game road sweep to open conference play, while the baseball team came up empty at TCU, losing all 3 games of the series. The soccer team knocked off Louisiana 5-0, and the acrobatics and tumbling team and men's tennis team both won on the weekend. And head coach Shaka Smart left Texas men's basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
The holidays holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den, folks. Happy Monday, everybody. I mean, look, there can't be a Monday lull when the women play UConn later on in the day. The men play Arkansas. Elite Eight action across the board. We just had Mike Neighbors on to help us break down the women's action. How about another hog? Coach Matt Zimmerman, former assistant, now color analyst on the radio broadcast. Thanks so much for bringing your energy to Up Tempo today.
Oh, good to be on with you, Drake. And I went to college with Mike Neighbors, and so I've known Coach Neighbors a long time. He's a high-energy guy, good basketball coach, and he's the unusual situation, a guy that beat Baylor and UConn this year, and it's an amazing story. We didn't have a run in the conference or the NCAA tournament in women, but they had a good season, had some really, really good wins.
Well, I told him, Coach, I said, listen, you're the only coach to beat UConn, Baylor, and have a birthday on March 29th in the same year, and he did it. He found a way to get it done. Some guy from Greenwood is beating up on the big dogs. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? A Greenwood Bulldog right there, Coach Mike Neighbors. He's done a good job finishing his 4th year at Arkansas. We're proud to have him back there, and big day for Baylor. Big day for, as you said, it's a big day for Baylor Bear basketball.
Well, how about this, Coach? You've got a matchup tonight between Arkansas and a really, really stout Baylor team, as I'm sure you know. But this Arkansas squad, no slouches. Winners of, I guess it's 12 out of the last 13 now. First Elite Eight appearance since that national championship run against UCLA where they fell in '95. But they're back here. That basketball pedigree has been there for years, and Coach Musselman has brought that energy back to the state. What has it been like, this run for Coach Eric Musselman?
Well, he's had a lot of fun with it, obviously. He's done a good job. He came in, he inherited a program that had been to some NCAA tournaments. Mike Anderson had done a pretty good job at Arkansas, but he just didn't have that run. In his 8-year time at Arkansas, he had the 3rd most wins in the SEC behind Kentucky and Florida. But the problem with Coach Anderson was that there was no run. It didn't make it, kept getting beat in the round of 32. And then when they made the change and they brought in Coach Musselman, a lot of people in Arkansas didn't know what to expect, didn't know him that well. He was coming from Nevada. He was an unknown. He'd been to 3 NCAA tournaments in a row at Nevada. He was there 4 years. We knew him just a little bit. I knew him a little bit because he'd been an assistant at LSU when I was an assistant at Arkansas, but he'd only stayed at LSU for 1 year. So he's had a lot of time in the NBA. He was a young guy when he became the head coach at Golden State and at Sacramento. And in the NBA, it didn't end up working out for him as well. And so he was in the G League. He was in all different areas of basketball. And then, then he was an assistant at Arizona State, and that's what got him going into college. He loved it. LSU a year, gets the Nevada job, and he's done a great job at Arkansas. Hogs are 25-6, finished second in the SEC behind Alabama, and made it to the semis of the tournament. And here we are in the Final Eight, and got to beat Baylor to go one more step.
Coach, I want to know, there have been times this season for every school in the country, the parity of college basketball in the middle of this pandemic where things have not been consistent. Arkansas has seen that in different stretches. Look at the Oral Roberts game where they were down 14 to Colgate, struggles against Tech late in the game, but they found a way to win. What is that edge that gives Arkansas that ability to close out games?
They just refuse to lose. I mean, their mindset is we can be down 14 points. We're going to come back. And every time we get down 10, 12, 14, you're sitting there, and I know I'm sitting there as the color analyst on radio, and I'm like, someone's going to make a shot, and that's going to get the momentum going. Been doing it all year. There's only 2 games we weren't in all year. That was a blowout loss at LSU, which we later revenged, and a blowout loss at Alabama that we later revenged. But other than that, they keep coming back. They just refuse to stay down. It's either going to be a big make by Moses Moody or Jalen Tate or J.D. Note or Justin Smith. And the next thing you know, a 14-point lead is a 3-point lead, just like that with these guys. They have battled all season. They're a great comeback team and an outstanding second-half team. This is a second-half basketball team. And I think the Hogs are overdue. We played okay in the loss to LSU in the SEC tournament, but we've had 3 games in a row that we've won with great defense and with great rebounding and toughness, have not been super great on offense. And we've shown at times this year the offense can really be good. This is a team that can score 82 points a game. So I think the Hogs are due for that game. Now, is Baylor going to allow the Razorbacks to get in that? That remains to be seen tonight. We will all know the answer to that tonight. But if the Hogs get hot, our best player, it's kind of like Butler did not play that well against in the game against Villanova. Our best player, Moses Moody, was 4 of 20 on Saturday. But it's still a win, still got a victory, and that's all that matters. And this Razorback team's got a lot of depth, Drake. This is a team loaded with depth, can go 10 deep if needed.
Coach, you mentioned that name, Moses Moody. What does that name mean to this Razorback program as he has become a young star for the Hogs?
He really has. He's a freshman from Little Rock. He was at Little Rock Parkview, which is a big powerhouse. Then he went to North Little Rock. He's a very, very talented player. And then he went down and went to Montverde down in Florida for 2 years. So it was a recruiting battle to get him. He was an Arkansas kid that wasn't in Arkansas anymore. He was in Florida, Drake. And Coach Musselman and his staff did a good job of signing Moses and getting him to come. And he was to me, he was the best freshman in the league. I thought at the end of the season, the last few weeks, I thought he was the best player in the SEC. He's a difference maker. He can hit pull-ups, catch and shoot threes. He's an outstanding shooter. When he's struggling, he does what great shooters do. He's got the Michael Jordan effect. He'll put it on the deck. He'll drive it. He'll get into you, and he's sitting at the free throw line shooting free throws. Doesn't miss very many free throws. That gets his game going. He did not shoot it well the other night. As I said, 4 for 20. He's due. I think he will have a huge game against Baylor. He's 6'6", 6'7". He's got broad shoulders. He's strong. And another thing that helps his scoring, Drake, is he'll fly in there and get some rebounds, and he'll power it back up, and you'll have to foul him. He'll be living at the free throw line.
Coach, you say Parkview, and I hear Flanagan. I can just picture the towel on the shoulder and some big-time basketball. Parkview-Mills matchups that were unbelievable that I got to go to over the last couple of decades. Yeah. And I got to know, outside of Moses Moody, for the folks here in Waco and Baylor fans that don't know a lot about this Arkansas squad, 30,000-foot view, what makes this team tick?
This team ticks on defense. That's why I think that this team has a chance tonight to beat Baylor, because we have long, big guards that defend. They can really defend. We have a 6'6" point guard that's probably 23-year-old, fifth-year grad transfer named Jalen Tate. He had a huge game, 22 points against the other night against ORU. He was outstanding. Hogs don't win without him. The other guard is a freshman from Little Rock / Jacksonville named Devontae Davis. He hit the game-winning shot the other night. He has no conscience. He's tough. He's mean. He is an elite defender. He's super long. He can get after you. Those two can guard you. We bring a sixth man in the league off the bench, J.D. Note. He might score 4. He might score 24. He can get hot. He wore out Texas Tech. He can get hot. He's a guy that can get you in the 20s. And he also will defend. Moses Moody will defend. And then we've got a freshman, Jalen Williams. It's one of the best big man, post men defensively I've seen. He can pass. He dominated Texas Tech. He only had 1 point. He had 10 rebounds. He dished out assists. He'll take 2 charges tonight, maybe 3. Elite defensive player. He can block shots, change shots. He is outstanding. He's from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And then here's our little thing we got that people don't talk much about. He didn't even make all conference. I thought he was the 4th best player in the SEC, and he didn't make all conference. A kid named Justin Smith, a grad transfer from Indiana. He was a starter for the Hoosiers. It killed him when he left. He transferred out. Coach Musselman did a good job of getting this kid in. Every time we play now, Drake, it's 20 points and 10. It's 24 and 12. It's 12 offensive rebounds. It's 10 offensive rebounds. He is an animal on the boards. He will guard you. He'll block shots. He jumps 40-something inches. He is a freak athlete at 6'7" or 6'8", Justin Smith. He'll be wearing number 0 tonight, and Baylor fans are going to get a lot of look at him. He is super duper playing. I can't think of the last time he had a bad game.
Coach, tell me, you spent so much time on the sidelines too, so you get a good view. There are a lot of guests and analysts we have on the show that show their bias when they talk about teams, but you know what it's like as a coach to say, hey, there are things that this team does well and areas in which this team could improve. What's one of those areas maybe that Arkansas has been exposed in that game against LSU or Alabama earlier this season?
Well, when we got exposed, it was this defensive breakdowns. And again, I think the best thing this thing does, best thing that the Razorbacks do, score that ball. We score it and defend it. I mean, it's just a combination, just like Baylor can do both. But I think that when the Razorbacks have struggled, it has been some defensive breakdowns and giving up some shots that normally they don't give up because they're relentless. I don't think Baylor tonight will get a lot of clean looks because this defense has been so good. Another area that's hurt us when we've gotten beat has been on the glass. But this is an offensive rebounding machine at Arkansas. They're going to try to get 15 offensive rebounds tonight. They're an offensive rebounding machine. And the Hogs get 40 a game, 40 rebounds a game. Our 6 losses, we've been out-rebounded. Baylor will have a better chance tonight if they can out-rebound the Razorbacks. If we dominate the glass like we do mostly, then it's going to be tough on Baylor. We're almost +5 rebounding on opponents. And Baylor's a good rebounding team too. The boards will be huge to this basketball game. And Arkansas, this isn't a negative, this is a positive. One of the best free throw shooting teams I've been around. The Hogs shoot 75%, but Drake, here's the deal. In the last 5 minutes, this team shoots almost 90%. It gets under 5, Hogs going to make it, buddy. If you're sitting there thinking the Hogs 9 out of 10 going to bury that shot.
Wow. I tell you what, Coach, I've been looking at the analytics right now, and in March, this Hog team is playing unbelievable. Not a ton of folks thought that even Arkansas would get past Texas Tech. Some had them losing to Colgate, and they've just found that energy and that fire to win their way to the Elite Eight. I got to know, when it comes to the state, and I'm from Arkansas, we talked about that. I know what that is like. I know what it feels like. Can you put into words what this means for the state of Arkansas as a whole?
Well, the state's been on fire. It is absolutely on fire. It's a different state than Texas, where you got so many universities, and you got the Dallas Cowboys and the Texans and the Rangers and the Astros and a million things going on. We don't have that. As you know from growing up in Bologna, Arkansas, there's the Razorbacks. We've got some other good universities. We got a lot of Division IIs. We got some good D3s, but it's Razorbacks, and you can't avoid the Razorbacks in this state. 3.5 million people, I'd say 3.4 million of them are Razorback fans. And the state's been on fire. The state's been on fire, Drake, ever since this run. And we've had some good basketball teams in the past, but we've been hungry for this. 1996 was the last Sweet 16. 1995 was the last Final Four. We've been to 6 Final Fours. This is a national championship program, won a national title. This is a school that expects to win. I like to call it a university of championships. We win 2 or 3 every year in track. We win them. You know, baseball's always knocking at the door for a national championship. Golf has been knocking on doors for national championships. So at Arkansas, championships, SEC and national championships are what the Hog fans want. And this team can do that. And it's shown all year with its ability to come from, you know, to rebound, with their ability to defend, play 10 guys. It's a really, really good basketball team.
The names are there. The Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, Corliss Williamson, Corey Beck, Nolan Richardson, all the way up to your Michael Qualls, your Bobby Portis, your Moses Kingsley. I mean, the names are there. The program's there. And look, I could go all day. I mean, when you grow up with a team and a program, you have a passion for them. But on the other side, you got a Baylor team that is hungry. They've been to the last Elite Eight was 2012, so it's fairly recent. Scott Drew's been there. Scott Drew's one of the best to do it. What do you see when you look at Baylor and have your scouting report laid out?
Well, Baylor is, you know, just a team when those guards get hot, you just can't hardly beat them. To me, it's a guard-dominated team. I look at a perimeter-based team. They can attack. I saw them in person last Sunday when they played. We played behind them at Hinkle Fieldhouse when they beat a good Wisconsin team. You know, and there was a lot of Wisconsin fans there. And you know, Baylor's just a team that they rebound the ball well. They play good defense, and they look like a older bunch of guys that are motivated, that seem like they get along pretty good and play together as a team. And I watched when we knew we were going to play them yesterday, I was trying to watch some games. I watched the Kansas loss. I wanted to watch some wins. I watched their win over West Virginia. It was a big win on the road. I thought they would probably lose that game before that game happened. That was a really good win, but I did watch the Kansas loss. And there they struggled. They couldn't make runs. They struggled shooting the basketball. Kansas kind of took the fight to them a little bit and was aggressive with them. And I think that's what Arkansas has to be. They're going to have to be super aggressive. I watched just highlights and read the story of their other loss, Oklahoma State, in the in the Big 12 tournament. And so I didn't get as good a feel just by seeing some highlights of it. But those are the remedies to beat them. You got to attack them. And if you can get some of those key guys for Baylor in foul trouble, it can change the outcome a little bit. You're going to have to really defend. To me, the key is going to be, can our guards who are very good on defense, very good, Tate, Note, Moody, Davis, those guys can guard. Can they guard Butler and the crew? Teague, can they guard those guys with success? And if they can slow those guys down, hamper those, don't let those guys get comfortable, and it's going to be a heck of a basketball game. It's going to be a heck of a basketball game. I'll tell you this, Arkansas is walking down that court tonight thinking they're going to win the game. They feel like they're a team that can win. It's in a team that's happy to be in the Final Eight. And why it could be a great game is I think Baylor, judging by them, listening to them talk, to their interviews and things, how they carry themselves on the floor, they expect to win the game too. And so it's going to be two teams walking out there tonight that both think, Drake, they're both going to be thinking, we're going to win this game. We're going to get to the Final Four. And it's got a chance for some beautiful fireworks and some beautiful basketball tonight right here in Indianapolis.
Well, how about it? You know, we asked this question to Pat Bradley last Friday, and Pat said that Moses Moody is spotting up, hitting a step back to win it at the buzzer by 1. Arkansas goes to the Final Four. So I want to ask you, Coach, start to finish, first tip-off, final buzzer, what happens tonight between Baylor and Arkansas in the Elite Eight?
Well, first off, Arkansas is outstanding with the tip. We get the tip most every game, so hopefully that'll continue. Forever we started the 7-3 Connor
Vano. 7-3 helps that. I think the 7-3, that might help.
Yeah, and he has not started the last couple ball games. The Colgate game was his last start. We've been starting the freshman Jalen Williams, but he's still been getting the tip as well. But I think from the start, you're going to see both teams getting after it pretty aggressive on defense, trying to set a pattern. And I think early on it may be, everyone's expecting this slow, grinded out type game because both of them defend so well. I think Arkansas is going to break out offensively, and Baylor, who struggled a little bit offensively against a good Villanova defense. I think it's going to be some offensive fireworks. And I think as this game goes to the final buzzer, that it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be very close. Do I think Arkansas is going to – we've trailed in double figures all 3 games. Are we going to trail? I don't think the Razorbacks – I think the Razorbacks will be much, much better in this basketball game. They know this is the first time they've not been the favorite. This is the first time they're the underdog in a long time. They're going to come out with their ears back. And I think the Razorbacks will win the basketball game because they just all year have refused to lose. And now I work for the Razorbacks too, so I'm not going to come on here and say Razorbacks going to get beat, obviously. But the Razorbacks have had a special season, and they believe in each other. They're tough. And if it comes down to the last play, good luck. If you're a Baylor, stopping this Arkansas team. You're probably not going to, because Moses can make the shot. Justin Smith get a rebound and stick it back or dunk it back. Devontae Davis has shown he can make a buzzer shot. Jalen Tate has shown he can make late second shots. Good luck trying to figure out who you're going to guard. And Desi Seals is a good player that played well the other night. Good luck. I mean, Desi Seals can make a three-pointer to win the game. That's how much balance is on this team.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, I know that you root hard for the Hogs and know how to do a hell of a hog call without a doubt. And so that's why we wanted to bring you on today, to know a little bit more about the ins and outs of this team. And I guess we can say everybody now that's listening to the show is a registered Arkansas expert, thanks to your input. Coach, I don't know if you listen to Randy Rainwater, Tommy Smith, those guys at the Buzz. I'm sure you're familiar. No, they do their reindeer games. So we do bear games around here. I grew up listening to those guys. We do bear games around here. Bear games question of the day. What is your what's your go-to superstition, your game day must that you got to do every time you go on the air?
Well, for me, it's more of a coaching thing. When I first started coaching at a little small rural school in Arkansas called Plainview, which is now called Two Rivers, we didn't have any towels. And the day of the game, my manager said, "Coach, we don't have any towels." So I ran to the trailer I was living in, and I just gotten out of the Army, and I got these 8 brown Army towels, and I brought those, and we're getting ready to tip off the first game. I was coaching high school girls and high school boys. We were at Scranton High School, and Sabrina said, "Coach, this will be your towel." I said, "What do I need a towel for?" And she goes, "Coach always needs a cap. All the rest of them are going to get sweaty and nasty." And I said, "Well, how are we going to know them apart?" And she goes, "This one's got this little green tag on it." Well, it was a quartermaster laundry tag that's got numbers on it. If anybody's been in the Army, they'll know about a quartermaster laundry tag. And so, make a long story short, that towel's been on TV. It's been in the Final Four program. I coached 25 years. Every game I ever coached was with my brown towel. And now I'm not on the bench, but I'm still a Razorback. I went to school here, so I'll have my brown towel with me. I always do. And it'll be sitting there kind of on my lap or right there beside me. And hopefully that brown towel will beat the Baylor Bears tonight.
Well, how about it? You know, I've always known Two Rivers as Jordan Riley country after he got the girls'
exactly
job there.
Right.
You know, he's a Valonia guy. He's now moved on to Southside. But you know what? Two Rivers is officially Matt Zimmerman country in my mind. Coach, thanks so much for joining the show today and breaking down this Arkansas team, telling us a little bit about who they are.
Appreciate having being on with you, and good luck to you guys, and talk to you down the road, Drake.
Thank you, Coach Zimmerman. Again, that's Matt Zimmerman, former Razorback assistant coach and current color analyst for the University of Arkansas. He'll be on the air tonight in Indianapolis. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. You heard him. You heard him sing the praises of the University of Arkansas Razorbacks who take on Baylor tonight. How about this? Let's talk a little bit more Baylor action from a Baylor and Big 12 perspective. Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports joins the show up next. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Consider their tickets punched. Both the Baylor men and women are in action in the Elite 8 today with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biting game Saturday in which Baylor trailed Villanova 30-23 at halftime. That's when the defense turned it on. The Baylors held the Wildcats to just 21 second-half points while putting up 39 themselves to notch a 62-51 victory. With Arkansas sneaking past Oral Roberts, Baylor meets the Razorbacks in an old Southwest Conference matchup at 8:57 tonight on CBS. Elsewhere, Oregon State and Houston will square off for a trip to the Final Four, while Gonzaga will meet USC and Michigan will meet UCLA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears gave fans a heart attack with a tight overtime win over Michigan, 78-75 in the Sweet 16. Melissa Smith was a perfect 11 for 11 in the game to lead the team with 24 points. Through the rest of the bracket, UConn handled Iowa and will meet Baylor at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Texas notched a wild upset over Maryland to meet South Carolina in the Elite 8. And Indiana versus Arizona and Louisville and Stanford make up the rest of the regional final matchups. Across other Baylor athletics, the softball team dominated Texas Tech in Lubbock with a 3-game road sweep to open conference play. while the baseball team came up empty at TCU, losing all 3 games of the series. The soccer team knocked off Louisiana 5-0, and the acrobatics and tumbling team and men's tennis team both won on the weekend. And head coach Shaka Smart left Texas men's basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and you know, I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Paulie, give me some of your tots. No, go find your own. Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, freaking stop. I didn't get to eat anything today.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Brian, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with Dave all day.
Your place for a Baylor take on your lunch break. Here's Drake Toll.
And welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It is Monday. How about it? You know, typically there's a little Monday lull that folks are like, it's Monday, and Mondays aren't very fun. And how are you supposed to get excited about a Monday? But how can you not today, where the Baylor women play against UConn in the Elite Eight, the Baylor men play in the Elite Eight against Arkansas, and to help us break things down on the men's side. You know, Matthew, I really thought that when we brought you on as a guest, that, you know, thinking back 2 weeks ago, I thought, hey, as soon as we bring this guy on, we'll have 3 weeks of content where we're talking about different Big 12 teams in the tournament. And now, all we've been able to talk about is Baylor. They're the only ones left. How about it?
Well, we can still talk about other Big 12 teams. I mean, it's not like they're standing pat the last few days, but yeah, they're the only team left Baylor's the only team left playing actual games right now.
And today they've got the Elite Eight, a big one. First Elite Eight for this team since 2012, in which they lost to Duke the year of the Bear. I mean, questionable charge call that would have sent Baylor to the Final Four in that one, but they're back. They can get revenge on the Elite Eight games that they've fallen in the last decade. And they got Arkansas today, a really tough Arkansas team. Matthew, I like to ask, 30,000-foot view, what do you see in this game that really just screams off the page for you at first glance?
I think the two things that really kind of strike me is, number one, when you look at, over the course of the season, Baylor's 3-point percentage is about 8% better than Arkansas's. So there's a big differentiator there. And then the other piece for me is Justin Smith at Arkansas. We talk a lot about Moses Moody, their talented freshman. But in this game, I feel like Justin Smith is the X factor across the board because he is a far better scorer and rebounder than Flo Thamba and Jonathan Chama-Chachua have ever had to deal with, at least in this tournament, certainly. Smith might be the best forward left in the tournament, the way he's playing right now. So they're going to have to keep him off the offensive glass because he had 11 against Oral Roberts on Saturday night. He's a good rebounder. That's going to be the task, I think, for Baylor from a defensive standpoint tonight, is they're going to have to find a way to keep Justin Smith from being a significant factor because the rest of it, I think they can handle. But if Justin Smith gets kind of unchained in this game, they're going to have problems.
This Baylor team, I want to know in the Villanova game, what did you learn? And you're going to say defense. You've got to say defense, but what in particular, maybe something that people aren't thinking about, did you see that you really liked out of Baylor?
I really, they went to some matchup zone, which, at first glance, you really didn't see it too much in the second half, or you really couldn't notice it. And you're really not supposed to notice matchup zone. That's kind of the whole thing behind it, is you're really not supposed to figure, as an offensive player, you're not supposed to be able to figure out whether it's a man or a zone. But that matchup zone, I actually kind of helped shift their gears a little bit mentally and put them in a headspace where they could be a little bit more aggressive. And, once they were able to finally get back into the flow in the second half of that second half, you saw the Baylor defense we've been seeing for most of this season. I really thought, that piece of strategy from Scott Drew is really the thing in that right direction, because that first half, they just weren't taking it to Villanova. Villanova was taking it to them. They really put Baylor on their heels in the first half, and them making those little adjustments they made on defense, Baylor getting back into that game and winning.
How about Flo Thamba and Jonathan Chama-Chachua? You talked about both of those guys. I put a tweet out last week that said if Flo Thamba scores 10 points, Baylor could beat every NBA team by double digits. And I think that still holds true. We haven't seen him score very much. Jonathan Chama-Chachua, same thing. Even Mark Vital in that conversation. When you talk about guarding a guy like Justin, in the game tonight, is it going to be defense by committee stopping him?
I think it's going to have to be, because they're going to need Matthew Mayer on the floor more than they had him on the floor against Villanova because of his scoring ability. Unless, the guys outside shoot like 50% from three, and then they won't need that kind of a mix. But I feel like they're going to need more offensively from Mayer tonight. So, you look at the last game, Thamba played 19, Chama-Chachua played 15, Mayer played 12. I could easily see Mayer playing 20 minutes in this game tonight, just because of his offensive ability, because they're going to need it. But the best thing that Thamba and Chama-Chachua can do in this game is to do what they do best: play defense, rim protect, follow Smith around everywhere. I'm almost to the point where with him, the way he's playing right now, you don't need to play help side rules on him. Just go everywhere he goes. Make sure you're with him everywhere he's in the paint, and push him out as far as you can away from the basket and make him shoot the mid-range as opposed to being close to the basket. It helps from the standpoint of reducing the percentage of his shots, and it also keeps him away from the glass.
How about this Arkansas team? We've talked about them a lot over the course of the show because you only have one for us. We only have 3 hours to recap and break down who Baylor is playing tonight. Whereas the coaching staff, really, they only get less than 48 hours to do the same thing that we're trying to do for those that are listening and introduce them to a whole different ball club. With Baylor, though, what we know about Baylor, and the analytics show, most everybody that I've looked at has Baylor winning this game by between 7 and 12 points. That seems to be the standard when it comes to the analytics of both of these teams. So we've worried about how good Arkansas is here, how good they are there. What is the difference, though? What makes Baylor better than Arkansas?
Just looking at Arkansas and just having watched their past couple of games, they're in such a groove right now. They've lost, I think, one of their last 13. And I think that loss was to LSU. In fact, the previous loss before that was the loss to Oklahoma State in January. So they've had a stretch now where they've won a lot of games. I think they're pretty comparable defensively to Baylor, just in their ability to guard in the perimeter. They really don't get a lot out of their post play, whether that's Connor Vanover, who has started for them a couple of times, or they've got a couple other guys they run in there in the post as well. They're really reliant on Moody and Smith and Jalen Tate, who had a great game against Oral Roberts the other night. So they've got 3 guards like Baylor does that can deliver points for you. But the offense really kind of flows through Tate at the point and Moody on the wing. And, Smith is going to be there to clean up a lot of what happens inside. He can make his own shot, but he's really there to clean things up. And, that's why it's so important to keep him, away from the glass as much as possible tonight. And J.D. Note is a guard who sometimes comes off the bench, sometimes starts. He's got a really nice shot, shoots nearly 50% from the field. The thing that this team doesn't do all that well that Baylor does a lot better is they don't shoot the 3 as well. There's nobody on Arkansas's team that shoots better than 39% from the 3-point line. Baylor's got 4 or 5 guys that shoot better than 40%. So there's the big differentiator there from a shooting standpoint, is if Baylor has a typical 3-point shooting night. I think that's where the analytics are coming in, where you're saying 7 to 12 points. I think it's going to be a closer game. But if Baylor shoots the 3 closer to what we're used to seeing them shoot, then they'll be in control of this game, especially late.
One of the things that someone had mentioned earlier today, Marshall Burns actually on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, is the experience, the difference in experience for Arkansas. Even one of their guys, when I think about it, they got a 6th year in what Jalen Tate brings to the table. It's a guy that's, Matt Zimmerman told us 23 or so. Connor Vanover has some age, but also he doesn't scare me necessarily. When it comes to the difference in seniority between Baylor and Arkansas experience, do you give Baylor a pretty favorable nod?
A little bit. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of games and been there before. I like what Scott Drew said yesterday. We're at the time of year where being a freshman really doesn't matter anymore. You're not a freshman anymore. He doesn't look at Moses Moody as a freshman anymore. Moody's played enough games and had enough experience to where he is excelling at this time of year. So, you get to the Elite 8, unless you're talking about let's just say Oral Roberts had advanced, for example, then I think that experience piece would come into play a little bit more than it does with Arkansas. When you're a team like Arkansas, you play in the SEC, you play a rigorous schedule, just like Baylor did in the Big 12. You get a lot of experience that way. So we get to this point in the year when you're talking about 2 Power 5 teams playing each other. I don't think that's a huge differentiator.
How about one of the things that we've talked about, fan bases and just going back and forth. And I'll tell you, as someone that grew up there, the Arkansas fan base can be so overwhelming. And this Baylor fan base, one of the things it's so tough to get to kind of the point of the question is, one of the things that we've talked about on the show is the level of confidence that these two teams have. And Baylor fans have been very cautious to come out and say, oh, Baylor's going to win. Baylor's going to go to the Final Four. Baylor's going to win a national championship. They've taken it game by game and been very cautious, kind of guarding their hearts almost a little bit. When you look at this Baylor run, do you see a team that is just overpowering folks, dominant, won't lose to the national championship, or are you kind of taking this thing game by game like a lot of these Baylor fans are?
I think when you get to get out of the first weekend of the tournament, if you're a 1 seed, I think that's when you start thinking about it game by game, because you saw the Villanova game. They were down Connor Gillespie. Or Colin Gillespie rather, and they still played Baylor very tough for 30 minutes. They're going to play a full-strength Arkansas team tonight. That's going to be a tough game. I still pick them to win. I still believe they're going to win the game, but it's going to be one of those games like the one we watched last night with UCLA.
Jeez, please no, don't say that. Please, I don't want to do that. Not again.
But it was a great game, and it could be one of those games where it's either goes to overtime or it comes right down to the end. That's how these games tend to work when we get to this point in the season. So, while I think Baylor's going to win the game, I'm expecting this to be, a last possession, 2 or 3 possession kind of game right down there at the end where, Baylor might not actually be ahead. Like they've been ahead at the end and, in the last few minutes of each of these first 3 tournament games, they may not actually be ahead the last couple of minutes in this game, but I think they're going to have a chance to win regardless of that. But, this time of year, you get to this point, you expect a tough game. Scott Drew said yesterday he's expecting a tough game. That's what they're going to get.
Matthew, I'm putting you on the spot here just a little bit, but, there are 2 programs that are well known across their own respective sport. On the women's side, the Baylor women and the UConn women squaring off tonight. I got to know, will you be watching that game?
I'm going to try. I mean, every time those 2 teams play, it ends up being a pretty fantastic game. I saw UConn in the women's Final Four when they came here a few years ago. I saw UConn come here several years ago when they had Breanna Stewart. I think she was a freshman that year. They played SMU and they did bad things to SMU that night. Yeah. Baylor, I saw them lose to A&M in the 2010 Elite Eight in Dallas. That was the year A&M went on to the national championship. I'm not an Aggie fan, but I was happy to see them win because Gary Blair's their head coach, and Gary Blair was actually the first head coach I ever worked with as a journalist at Stephen F. Austin. So it was nice to see him win a national championship. But, those 2 programs have incredible pedigrees and incredible coaches and just incredible players to build around. And it should be a fantastic game.
We just got breaking news here out of the women's game. Karen Aston, who is head coach at Texas, has now been hired at UTSA. She'll be in San Antonio with the Lady Roadrunners, actually another native of Valonia, Arkansas. Imagine that, Armstrong. 2 of us exist in the world from this little small town in the 501. Back to the men's side tonight. First tip, opening tip, all the way to final buzzer. What are your thoughts? What do you foresee happening?
I think Baylor shoots better from the 3. To start with. I mean, I don't think Jared Butler never seems to have 2 quote unquote bad games in a row. So I suspect he'll come out and have a really good game to start with. I suspect they'll shoot well from 3. I would expect Arkansas to really stretch themselves out defensively to try to make them shoot from 24, 25 feet out. That could open some things up inside. We talked about Thamba and Jonathan and not being real big scorers. They can score points. You just got to get the ball to them in the right place. And that could open up the alley-oop game potentially for them. For Arkansas, I think they're going to be very methodical early on, not necessarily slow the game down, but I think they're going to be methodical about what they do, drive to the basket a lot, try and get the bigger guys for Baylor in foul trouble early on, try to get Baylor to go to its bench early, either go smaller with Flagler or bring Mayer in, who's a good offensive player, but maybe not as good a defender as either one of those guys inside. So I think they're going to be aggressive trying to get the ball to the basket and try to get their bigger guys in foul trouble. And then I think the game's just going to kind of develop from there. It's going to be Baylor's 3-point shooting and whether they can be on for 40 minutes from the outside against Arkansas and whether Baylor can keep Justin Smith from influencing the game inside. And, I'm interested to see if Moses Moody kind of rises to the moment. He's been their leading scorer all year, but he's had a good tournament, but he hasn't had a great tournament. And for a guy like that, who's a projected first-round pick in the NBA draft, should he decide to leave college early, you're kind of waiting for that game where he kind of goes off. For them, this would be a really good night for him to do that. So I'm kind of watching him too as well.
How about that? I love, if Baylor's off from 3, they're going to did against Villanova, and the 3-pointers never really got there in the second half either. There wasn't a point where you're like, all right, Baylor's back, they're shooting like normal. But to know that Baylor can beat a team like Villanova the way they did by double digits through defense and playing smart, good, fundamental basketball in the second half especially gives me a lot of confidence going into the game against Arkansas tonight, even if the Hogs get hot. But how about it? Going to be a big one in the Elite Eight. Glad that we still have one Big 12 team carrying the way to the rest of the conference, and glad that it's Baylor. But Matthew Postins, before we let you get out of here, Bear Games question of the day. What's your superstition when you're watching the old SFA Lumberjacks run out there and you're wearing your favorite shirt, your favorite hat? What's your game day go-to superstition?
Oh, I'm always wearing purple. Obviously, that's our school color. I always tend to wear, if it's football, it's football related. If it's basketball, it's basketball related. I tend to gravitate toward clothes that I've had for a long time. I still have sweatshirts from when I was in college something years ago. So sometimes I gravitate toward that kind of stuff, but I don't know that I have any real superstitions except yelling at the officials for no reason.
I guess that's part of it. It's one of the struggles that I've had being in sports media since joining the sports media realm, is not being able to yell at officials. I guess it's mellowed me out a little bit, but at the same time, there are just certain calls where you want to stand up from wherever you are, throw the laptop right out there on the floor. But Matthew Postins, thanks so much for joining the show today and bringing us the Big 12 analysis that you always do.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Look forward to hearing from you next week when Baylor's in the national championship. Again, that was Matthew Postins from Heartland College Sports. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. When we come back, it's celebrity birthdays and this day in sports history. This is Up-Tempo.
Consider their tickets punched. Both the Baylor men and women are in action in the Elite Eight today with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biting game Saturday in which Baylor trailed Villanova 30-23 at halftime. That's when the defense turned it on. The Baylors held the Wildcats to just 21 second-half points while putting up 39 themselves to notch a 62-51 victory. With Arkansas sneaking past Oral Roberts, Baylor meets the Razorbacks in an old Southwest Conference matchup at 8:57 tonight on CBS. Elsewhere, Oregon State and Houston will square off for a trip to the Final Four, while Gonzaga will meet USC and Michigan will meet UCLA. On the women's side, the Lady Bears gave fans a heart attack with a tight overtime win over Michigan, 78-75 in the Sweet 16. Melissa Smith was a perfect 11 for 11 in the game to lead the team with 24 points. Through the rest of the bracket, UConn handled Iowa and will meet Baylor at 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Texas notched a wild upset over Maryland to meet South Carolina in the Elite Eight. And Indiana versus Arizona and Louisville and Stanford make up the rest of the regional final matchups. Across other Baylor athletics, the softball team dominated Texas Tech in Lubbock with a 3-game road sweep to open conference play, while the baseball team came up empty at TCU, losing all 3 games of the series. The soccer team knocked off Louisiana 5-0, and the acrobatics and tumbling team and men's tennis team both won on the weekend. And head coach Shaka Smart left Texas men's basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. All right, it's time to do it. I'm just kidding. Oh, that was good. All right. You guys know.
Gotta take it off.
You guys know I'm from the state of Arkansas. So I brought this little buddy with me today. This is the time. There comes a time. This is the time where I let the folks know at home who we're going with tonight. Because I was born and raised a hog. I suffered through the Pelfrey days. I suffered through the football days of John L. Smith. I went through it. I don't remember the Lee Mayberries. I don't remember the success. All I know is woe. And now here they are for the first time in an Elite Eight since the mid-90s. I wasn't even alive. I wasn't thought of. Here it is. Who do I root for? You grow up with a team. You love a team so much. You bleed red, literally. And the other side of things, you go to the school. Imagine a Final Four where your school that you go to, they're in the Final Four. You attend there. Who do you root for? The team you were born into, you were bred to go to, or the team that you pay to go to? And it's an easy one for me. It's an easy one for me on which hat we're putting on, which jacket we're putting on. Come on, folks. I attend the university. It's easy. It's too easy almost. It's my school. Come on. This right here, we're rooting for the Baylor Bears tonight. Not because I get paid to do so, because I pay to do so. That's right.
You do pay.
Amen. So we're going Baylor Bears tonight. All the way. Baylor all the way. Piggies, hey, it'd be great to see you win. I grew up on you, and I'll love you forever. We're cooking bacon tonight. The Baylor Bears are going to the Final Four for the first time since the 50s, folks. It's happening tonight. Visualize it. Manifest it. Baylor tonight. I don't care if they're down by 15 at halftime. We're all changing shirts, and we're going Baylor Bears. Arkansas for life, yes, but Baylor Bears right here, right now. This is our time. Our time. We're rooting for Baylor this evening. I know. I was torn. I'm still torn. I could throw up at any point in time, and I probably will today, over this matchup tonight. But we're going Baylor. We're going Baylor. We got to root for Baylor, folks. Armstrong, you get it. You grew up a North Carolina fan. Mm-hmm. And if North Carolina and Baylor played in the Elite Eight.
Oh, yeah, I'd obviously go for Baylor.
You're going for Baylor.
I had this queued up, though, if you chose Arkansas, though.
What is it?
Stop it. Get some help.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I wear this Every time they're not playing Baylor. Here's the deal. Somebody asked me, they're like, so you're getting tickets to the Final Four? I was like, yeah, I'm getting tickets to the Final Four. They're like, well, you're gonna go no matter who wins, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna go no matter who wins. If Arkansas wins tonight, I wouldn't touch that Final Four with a 35-foot pole. I'm not gonna go spend thousands of dollars to watch the Pigs. Granted, yeah, that's great, and I love them. They're great. But come on, I'll spend thousands of dollars to watch Baylor, the school that I attend. Celebrity birthdays today. How old's Mike Neighbors?
The school you pay thousands of dollars to.
I don't pay. What is it like? CEOs hate this guy. Find out 10 ways, 10 ways to save money. I found a way to not pay. That's a moot point though.
It's called scholarship.
Oh, that's what it is. Celebrity birthdays today. It's Mike Neighbors' birthday. How old is he?
The guy we had on?
Yeah, literally the one we had on the show.
55.
52.
All right.
He is irate, though. He's still listening to the show right now. I can't find
3 years off.
Yeah, I can't find the celebrity birthday. Where's the celebrity birthdays site?
Yeah, what site do you use?
I use Famous Birthdays.
FamousBirthdays.com.
CJ So Cool. It's 32 today.
Never heard of this guy.
Me neither. Some TikTok stars. I Love Memphis is 28.
I Love Memphis. Is that
Sam Walton. Guess what? Guess how old he is today?
Sam Walton.
Yep, started Walmart.
Oh, 81.
No, Sam Walton would have been 103. Oh, guess what time it is?
Later, guys.
That's the end of the show. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Simpson. We only had a show for like 2 hours today, but that's all right. Hey, listen, tonight's the night. Tonight is the night. It is Baylor and Arkansas in the Elite Eight, Baylor and UConn in the Elite Eight. I'm going to be watching it, and I'm going to be rooting for the Bears the whole way, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. after Baylor punches its ticket in 2 sports to the Final Four. Let's do it all again tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll see you then. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims, and this is his Up Tempo.